Hello, everyone. Are you a reseller or considering becoming a reseller? Are you interested in learning about comic books, sports cards, action figures, action statues, posters, movie memorabilia, that type of thing? Well, you're in the right place. Today, I have two great gentlemen that I consider friends of mine that are very knowledgeable about the toy and collectibles business. I know Paul definitely had a store, and I believe Jerry may have. We'll get into their stories in a couple minutes, but wanted to let you guys know it's going to be a very interesting show. We'll open it up to questions in the chat. If you're here live, be more than welcome to answer your questions. I'll be kind of like hanging in the back because I know very little about this subject. It's one of the reasons I wanted to have these two gentlemen on to educate you guys and me as well. So I'm going to just kind of sit in the back and write down some questions. I'll monitor the chat for your questions. If you're watching the replay and you have questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. We'll be sure to get back to you with the answers. So unfortunately, the notice didn't go out on YouTube till we just went live. So I did set it up to go out a half an hour early, but it didn't go out. So anyway, I'm Adam with Adam's Exploits, and we're going to get this party started. So I'm going to say hello to a few people in the chat and in the chat, and we'll get started, okay? We're going to bring on Mr. Paul first, and then we'll have him come on, and we'll have him introduce himself. Paul, you're going to have the whole screen to yourself, my friend.
All right.
There you are.
Hey, how's everybody doing? I am Paul Antonelli. A lot of you probably have seen me around. I do a YouTube show and I do a lot of online auctions. Excuse me. I'm in Central Florida. I am a licensed real estate broker here in Central Florida also for the last 16 years. But I've always done eBay, sold online, done eBay since just before it was eBay. So a long time, and now it's probably going to be my main focus. And I do Amazon also, and I haven't ventured off to the other platforms yet, but I want to start doing that also. And as Adam was saying about comics and stuff on my show, the topic does come up a lot about comics and toys. I've had a comic shop twice now in the past, sold them, and I've been into comics and toys for, long time. I sold at my first comic book show when I was 16 years old. And I think I was hooked after that, just buying and selling. So any questions or anything that you have, like what to look for, things like that? Because people are always asking that. I mean, I even had Jerry on with me the other day. And people are always asking, somebody told me 25-cent books were good to get. And somebody told me this about comics and that about toys. So there's a lot of, you really got to do your homework. Or as we say, you really got to do your due diligence.
Let me ask you just a couple quick questions, and we'll have Jerry introduce himself. You said, when did you get involved in reselling? Did you have a parent or a relative that was involved in reselling that got you hooked? Or how did you get involved in reselling?
No, I think for me, when I was a kid, I was in 4-H.
Okay.
And I don't even know if they do 4-H anymore.
I don't know either.
But we made at 4-H. It was kind of like 4-H, from what I remember. It's kind of like an offshoot of Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts.
Right.
And it really grows the entrepreneurial spirit in someone, because we made a product and we ended up selling it. And we had to keep books, and we were, I forget how old, 11, 12 years old, I think.
Aware of that. Okay, that's interesting. I had no idea.
What
was the product?
It was a brandy snifter.
Okay.
With a bit of clay and a flower in it, and then we covered it in plastic, so like a terrarium.
Okay.
And I forget how much we sold them for, but we had to buy the brandy snifters, buy the case. So we got everything. We got into production. It was very, very interesting. And it was like, then I sold everything. I sold newspapers. I sold everything. And then finally, I was 16 and I could drive. So drove to Boston and did the comic book convention. I think I bought a table, was probably $25.
When you were 16, you got a table?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And because that's the thing. It's forever. You have your collection, pay for your collection. So you get a good deal on 1 or 2 items. You keep one for your collection, one to show, one to go. That's basically what it is. And I'm sure Jerry's maybe the same way with posters. I don't know. They take up a lot of room too.
Now, you and your family were originally from Mass, I guess both of you?
Yep.
And you lived up there most of your life, and you moved down to Florida how many years ago?
We've been here 16 years.
16 years.
Yeah, we'll definitely won't make 17.
Okay. We'll go I know you missed your family, your son, and your wife's family, and
yes, yeah. So we're planning on going back home.
And congratulations! I understand you sold your rental property, your vacation home.
Yeah, I got it under contract. She just emailed me 2 seconds before we came on. Inspections are Saturday, so it's going along good.
Sounds great. Okay, let me get Mr. Jerry on here now. We'll bring him on solo. And Jerry, same thing for you, my friend. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, I've been on a few times with Paul now and a few others. You also know me as Wolf Toy. And I've been doing this stuff for collecting since I was like 4 or 5 years old, doing the non-sport cards. I would buy them by the box because I found that if I bought the box, I can make a couple of sets. I sell the sets to my friends and my set became free. And then I would use the extra cards to get other cards to build up my other sets. So then I would end up selling those. And like Paul, the minute when I was able to go off to the convention in Boston, which was once a month, I would set up there with all my singles and sets and sell them off. And then from there, I graduated to comics, toys, movie posters. If it was media related, I carried it. As you can see from behind me, we have DVDs and statues and whatever. And like Paul said, it feeds your hobby because you sell the stuff that you really don't need or your extras to buy the stuff you really want. Then you say, hey, this cost me basically nothing because I used the money from this to pay for that. So if you do it right, you can get yourself some good stuff and enjoy the hobby as you go along.
Now, what did you do before? Are you reselling full-time now or part-time, or do you work?
No. I worked as a school custodian for 33 years.
Okay.
So in between that, since I would get a lot of vacation time and personal time,
okay,
that's when I would do the shows.
That's when you do the shows. Okay.
Yeah, I would do the shows. I've done them all over the country and over in England.
In England as well. Wow.
Yeah. So
why did you go to England? Just out of curiosity.
What did I bring in England?
So why did you go to England? Just curiosity. Is it big over there? Or?
I have friends there.
Okay.
And 2, it was like, all right, we'll just try a new marketplace.
Okay.
And see, because I also heard that the movie posters for the American issues go big over in England, which they do.
Okay.
It's just that now where I'm at about 9,000 posters, to get all that overseas would just be a killer. It would just cost too much just for the shipping alone. So if I were to do it, it would be like I would only be able to bring like maybe 100 or so.
Right.
But now with the way everything is so expensive, it's not cost effective. I'm better off just doing like right now, doing the live Facebook auctions and just selling all over. And it makes it a lot easier.
Well, we'll bring that up at the end, but you're doing Facebook auctions. How often are you doing? Are they scheduled at a certain time? Or?
No. We tried our first one like I think it was like 2 weeks or so ago.
Okay.
And it ran so long. We started at 7. We didn't end till 11:30, and we still weren't done.
Right.
And people wanted us to stay, and we're like, no. I says, my son's got to go to school. My wife has got to go to work, even though it's at home. But still, it's 11:30. They got to go to sleep.
Sure.
Sure. So we picked it up the next day, and it ran from 7 o'clock to about 11 o'clock the next day.
Wow, so almost 9 hours.
Yeah, and then we did another show a week after, and that went from 7 to like 10:30, quarter of 11.
Okay.
but we only did about maybe 300 posters.
Now, are you doing this on your personal Facebook page, a group Facebook page?
Yeah, just on my personal Facebook page. I find that the other ones, they want you to join the group or they want you to pay a fee. And I'm like, I'm not paying a fee. I'm doing this because I'm saving money, because I'm not paying for a table at a show.
Gotcha.
And I mean, I know it's only maybe $10 or $15, but you still say, why am I going to do that when I can do it on my page and save even more money and get probably just as many, if not the same amount of people to come over and buy stuff. This whole thing is, you got to learn how to be cost effective. If you can get it a cheaper way or do something a cheaper way, you do it, because it means more money in your pocket.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll put your information in the description below. I wasn't sure if you wanted to share that. So now I know after the video. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So guys, we're going to start first. We're going to have Paul discussing comics. And again, I'm going to be monitoring the chat. And again, if you guys are watching the replay and you have any questions after the show airs, feel more than welcome to ask questions. And I'll reach out to Paul and Jerry and get you guys answers in a quick fashion. And so again, if you guys have any questions in the chat, please feel free to ask them, and I'll make note of them, and I'll ask Paul as we go along. So we're going to bring on Mr. Paul, and he's going to discuss comic books, and we'll get this party started. All right, sir. Let's get Mr. Paul on the screen. There you are, sir. Let's discuss comics.
Okay.
What do we look for when, God willing, we can get back into the yard sales, garage sales, flea markets? As a newbie, as someone that's a reseller, what should we be looking for?
Well, with comics, condition is everything. Everything. It's all condition, because you're going to go out in the field and you're going to find it. This is just a basic comic. This is from, and the year really doesn't make too much of a difference. Oh, can't even see the year. 1989. So for 1989, this is good condition. You can see it still has the glossy cover and everything like that. You got to look at the edges on older comics. You're going to have some, well,
do they have staple marks on them and they can pull away?
Staples will rust and they'll bleed into the pages.
Gotcha.
The edges, it's a big thing with edges. Any little imperfection takes away the value. Any kind of discoloring, I guess, on the pages as well. Yep. And if you're looking at older books, you got to look pretty good, especially in the 60s. Some of the Marvel comics and some of the DC had ads inside, and the coupon could be missing. If the coupon's missing from that page, it takes away a lot of the value of the comic.
I had no idea.
Value.
Okay.
Even like the Marvel coupons.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, every little thing, every little crease and crevice and crack and tear. They're graded from 1 to 10. In 30-something years, I've only seen a 10 3 times.
Wow.
I've even gotten books right from the distributor, right out of the case, put them in a bag and a board. And when I say a bag and a board, this is a very poor example of a bag and a board, because this is not an acid-free board. So this, over time, this won't protect the comic from degrading. But I would put the book in a bag and a board, ship it off to be graded. And when I say graded, I mean it's going to come back with a grade like this. They encase it. Some people are going to call it a slab, because what they do here will protect the book. Not fully, not forever, but it will protect the book. Now you can see this one came back as a 4, and it tells you why. Has off-white pages. It tells you also it's got the first appearance of whoever's in it.
Dr. Noah Black. Okay.
Yeah, if you go to the CGC, which is the grading company, that number there, they give you all the grading notes. If this was signed, this would be, I believe, yellow, and it would say signature copy. I have one over here that's purple because it was restored a little bit.
Restored meaning what?
Means that, see, like this one has a lot of red. Maybe the edge had a crack or something going right through. So they would have touched up the red.
Okay.
To get rid of that crack. Now it's a restored book. And I don't know, Landshark, if PSA grades comics. I know they do cards. I just don't know if they do comics.
I don't think so.
I think they're just cards. But when, you know, everybody asked, even the other day when Jerry and I were on talking about it, what should I look for comics? It's very tough. One thing I know for certain, stay away from anything from the mid 80s till today.
Really?
Because they printed millions.
Okay.
Millions of copies of everything. There's so many copies now. They do variant copies. Marvel's heavy into variant copies. A variant cover.
I was going to ask you, what's a variant cut? What's that?
This book is number 3.
Okay.
All right.
So they have 3 different covers.
That's this. This will be this cover. Now there could be a number 3 with a different cover.
Okay.
And there could be a number 3 with another cover. There could be an artist that might have his own cover. And then a number 3 with a joint artist cover or a black and white cover. It's just, there's so many variants. And the stores are going to charge a lot because to get that variant, they have to buy like 25 copies to get one special variant. You got to buy 200 copies to get the ultra rare variant. So that's why you find a lot of these other regular ones selling on eBay for lots of 10 for a couple of bucks because they just had to buy them to get that.
Buy them to get the variant, right?
Yeah, 1 second, Paul.
Yep.
Yeah, Landshark. First appearance of characters are not always in the first issue.
Correct.
They could show up in like issue 45, issue 210. It won't matter. Like, just to go on Paul's, see, this is a signature series. Got the yellow label. It's a variant cover, and it's signed by the artist. And it's also remarked by the artist, which it'll tell you all that right there. Signed and sketched by Ed McGuinness on 5/27/18, McGuinness variant cover. And it's also the first appearance of Red Goblin and Spider-Man. But look at the issue number, 797. So,
and that's a 9.6 grade. For what Paul's saying, that's extremely rare, right?
Yeah, that's very, very good.
Yeah,
very good. Yeah,
that's you, Paul.
It's tough. I mean, a lot of people, you know, they, of course, the first issue, if the book is a good character or characters, it may be good. But like, take Avengers. There's Avengers, the original series that came out in 1963, I think. Then there's Avengers West Coast. Then there's Avengers this, Avengers that, and they all have a first issue. So it's tough, but a brand new character, a brand new book, you know, I might buy one of single first issue. But to look at comics, you really got to know what you're doing because a lot of people are selling comics and a lot of people don't know what they have. You know, they just say, well, this is from Now Comics. This is Slimer issue number 3 from 1989. Boom. Well, it could have an appearance of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in it or something. You know, it could be something different. So you really got to know. You really got to know what you're getting into. There's some people that are selling comics for like $1, $2 a piece, but what we call filler stock. I used to have a comic shop, and filler stock is stuff you get in quantity, and you sell them in the store for like $1 maybe, but they're quarter books. Anytime you go to a comic store, you're going to go and you see people with boxes under their tables, and they say these are $0.25 a piece. Now the time to look is a few months ago, Marvel confirmed that Silver Surfer is going to be in one of the next movies, and they may not do a Fantastic Four movie altogether. They may introduce them in bits and pieces like they did to the Avengers, and then they do the Avengers movie. But ever since they announced that with Silver Surfer, his books and appearances in books have been going nuts. So that's another thing to look for is, trends. What has Marvel announced?
And once again, for Landshark, sports cards are in the same boat from the 80s and 90s because they mass produced them. You had sports card shops showing up everywhere, and everybody was carrying the stuff.
Yep.
And next thing you know, you have 3,000 sets of the 1985 baseball season. So they're not going, unless if there was like that one oddball card that might be worth $20 in it. But other than that, the rest of the stuff was all common. You can't give the stuff away. And a lot of dealers were eating it.
I still have master case full of cards, even Magic the Gathering. I was surprised that that's still a thing. I still have master case just full of singles from the first, second, and third series because that's when I had my shop.
Well, that's when Casey the Rockstar Flipper got involved in reselling. He started out with, the Master of the Garter Ring.
Yeah, I mean, because we did it because
you would buy them and trade them, trade them, and take the profit and roll it into more.
Well, we did it because people would come in the store and they're trying to build a deck, or a set.
Cards, right?
You have this, so you sell the singles. But yeah, I mean, you just got to be careful. If you're looking at comics, you could be pretty much okay if you're looking at stuff from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Right. But still, there again, condition is key.
Condition is everything, right? Okay.
Yeah, once you start getting to those years, because you can get, where is it? Like, there's a 2.0 for Spider-Man. See?
What issue number?
2.0. Wow.
24.
So what does it say? I'm just curious, Jerry. What does it say with the why it's 2.0? He said Paul says on top. Why they?
No, it'll just tell you that it's cream off-white pages. But other than that, it's because, like, see the back how it's all torn up. You can see it.
Oh, okay.
See, so that already detracts.
Now, why would you get something like that? Out of curiosity, why would you get something like that graded if it was that?
I didn't. I picked it up that way when I bought a collection.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
and since I collect Spider-Man, I'm like, okay, at least it's another one in the set.
I've seen comics get graded with no cover on them.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They come back at a 0, but anytime the difference between, let's say these were both the same title.
Right.
This could be $15 as is. Just regular, it's raw, basically. All right. But once you have it graded, it could triple or quadruple the value.
Really? Even if it's like a 3 or 4?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
It's the same way with posters. You can take a poster that is like my Jaws poster that Paul loves to talk about. It's $1,000 right now, give or take.
$1,000?
Yeah. But if I go and have that linen back, which is they will take out any imperfections, any fold marks, anything, and they will make the poster look brand new. It'll cost me about $125, but by doing that, I can now sell the poster for about $3,000.
Wow!
Because now that poster is also going to last about 1,000 years.
1,000 years.
Yep. And then if you even go one step further, you put it in a frame that has UV glass, so it can be in direct sunlight and it's never going to fade.
Right.
Now that poster is going to last your kids' lifetime. But it's just always going to be, if it's one of those things that's always going to go up in price, you don't mind spending the money on it because it's an investment. I've always said that doing this stuff is like playing the stock market.
Yeah.
One day this toy will be $35. The next month it's $2.
Oh.
And then six years from now, it's back up to $50. So it's hit and miss. You got to know, say, am I going to hold on to this forever or am I going to get rid of it? And it's playing the stock market is what it is. Even if you get something signed, it might be from a famous person that's now, but 20 years from now, people are going to say, who's that? So the value drops. And all because you had, they'll say, well, if it wasn't signed, it would be more money. But because it's signed, it's, it drops the value. It's a very funny market that this whole thing is that you can do something to one little thing, and because of it, it changes the whole value of it. You take like Paul said, you'll take like this. You say, okay, it's in the original box and everything. It's all nice and clean. Ooh, it's $100. But the minute when you go and put a sticker on it that says, from Joe Blow's Comics, it's now only worth $40. Or because it's written to Paul from, Harry Potter. Now they're going to say, well, I don't want to buy it because it says to Paul.
Right.
So now they'll say, I'll give you $50 for it instead of the 100. So it's a finicky market because you can buy stuff that's signed to somebody else, but you're like, I really want it, but it's signed to Adam. I'm not Adam. So it does me no good. So you lose out on it.
Right. It's even, one of the things that a lot of people I think in the chat will relate to is the original Star Wars toys from 78. When they came out with the next movie and the next movie, and then they did that series Power of the Force, they released the figures, they released or re-released the vehicles, same mold, different paint. That reduced the value of the original stuff.
Yeah. The
only thing that kept the value strong, even to today, I believe, on Star Wars, is what they call the 12-back, which is the original 12 figures on the back, shows the 12 figures that came out.
And that's if you got them with the long lightsabers.
Yeah.
Because if they were the short lightsaber, it was less money.
Right. But there's something that the manufacturer did to, I guess not intentionally ruin the collector's market. Of course, all the collectors were ticked, but they just saw something which says, hey, we still have the molds. We can make some more money, and people are still going to buy them. And people did, not everything, but people still bought them. So now the big thing is, well, is it the first one or the second one? That's like this Jabba the Hutt. This is from the Power of the Force. I don't know if you can see the date, 97, I believe, or 96.
Yep, 97.
Yep. The paint is different. He's young. It's in great shape.
He's young.
Well, he looks young.
He looks young.
But so that affected the value of the first one. So it's always, that's why you got to do your due diligence. You got to look at the sales numbers.
Well, before we roll into Jerry and the movie posters and whatnot, is there any kind of website or some kind of app or something that you would recommend it if we're newer sellers and we're not familiar with these that we can get into, and anything to assist us as far as valuation or researching things?
Well, I use Online Comics Price Guide, but you'll find...
Is that fee-based or is that free?
It's free.
Okay.
But you'll still find that eBay will have more of a quicker reaction to trends.
Okay.
Because then
you got to look at sell-through rates also.
Yeah, I don't know who updates Online Comics Price Guide. Because, like I said, a price guide could come out today. I don't have a price guide handy. Or do I? Yeah, I have. This one's from a couple of years ago.
Okay.
But, and you can see it's just jam-packed.
Sure.
But now this could have come out in January. February, Marvel could have come out and said, oh, we think we're going to bring out Silver Surfer in one of the next upcoming movies. Well, bang, every issue from Marvel that had an appearance of Silver Surfer is now going to go up because everybody's going to be scouring for it. That's why you see when a lot of people go to shows and you see a lot of people hanging around the quarter books, those are the things they're looking for. They're looking for those special appearances, first appearances. Well, Marvel said that this character's coming.
Turn that 25 cents into $30, $40.
Exactly. Exactly.
They're hoping to get lucky.
Right.
Yep. Or they're taking, like Jerry's going to say, they're taking their movie posters because they heard that Bruce is going to be down the street and they want him to autograph their Jaws poster.
All right, let me roll into Mr. Jerry. Jerry, we can get into the movie posters and movie memorabilia and that type of stuff. Why don't you give us a little education on that for us?
Well, movie posters when they first came out, in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way up until about the mid 80s, they were always folded. And what a lot of people didn't know, the reason why they were folded into a square, which would be like about this size, was because when the studio would send the reels of film to the theater house, they would put the posters inside with the reels. And then it was supposed to be, they would put up the poster, and when the movie was done, put it back, send it over to the next movie house. Sometimes they would send two, so the theater could keep one, where then this way that if you wanted to do a revival of it, say 3 years down the road, I want to bring out the green slime again. Okay. And they put it back up and they just go to their file and get it. And all they got to do is request the movie. Then as time went on, after the mid 80s, they would start doing rolled. And then it was single-sided, where it was blank on the back. And then you had double-sided, which would be like, like this is double-sided. It's the same image on the back, but it's just all backwards.
Okay.
So now what you end up doing is you start saying, okay, we got that size now to deal with. And plus, the older ones were 27 by 41 in size. The newer ones are 27 by 40.
And what's the reasoning behind that? Do you have any idea?
It was just for convenience. It made it easier. It was a smaller tube, and they could fit more in it.
Okay.
And it just made it a lot more convenient.
Gotcha.
And they could send out more and save a lot of money.
Okay.
Then you would get things like this. These are promos that sometimes the theaters would get, sometimes they wouldn't. And what it would be like, okay, you're going to go see the new Solo movie? Well, you're going to get this and maybe like a keychain or something. If you're one of the first 500 to go see it, you would get that. And then you would start getting, which they're doing like with the comics, with the variants, you would go to one theater and get this kind, whereas at another theater, you would get that kind.
How about that?
So it would all depend on where you went and what you would get. And they would do all this. And then when you go into the foreign stuff, they come in different sizes. Like this is the French one for your eyes only.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I can see that's why it's French.
Yeah. But
I don't think that would fly in America.
yeah. But you would get that, and the same thing like
La,
with
la.
comics. The same thing like with comics, you would get it where they would do different eras. Like I've got, it's already been packed away. I've got Avengers Endgame, where they spelled Chris Evans' name Chris Evans.
Okay.
So because of that little flaw, instead of that poster being 100, it's now 250.
Okay.
I had another Avengers one that because, and it was an advance, instead of saying assemblement, it said rassemblement. Because of that, but only like I was told, only like 100 of them made it out before they caught it. So that one is worth like $1,000.
What about Revenge of the Jedi?
Revenge of the Jedi, for a while, when those were first out, you were able to get anywhere between $2,000 to $3,000. But now more have been showing up, so it's dropped the price down to where it's like about $1,200 or so.
Why is that? They had very limited production?
Well, what it was that when they came out with the movie, he wanted to call it Revenge of the Jedi.
Right.
But then they nixed it and said, no, we're going to call it Return of the Jedi.
Oh, okay.
So because they changed the title, it caused.
So there was some in the marketplace prior to that said Revenge of the Jedi.
Yeah, there's even jackets, satin jackets with Revenge of the Jedi.
There's even one that when they did, they brought back Star Wars for 2 weeks, and they did a banner across the bottom of the poster that says, come back and see Revenge of the Jedi or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Because that's on there, it pushes
more
that
valuable.
value up.
Sure. That makes sense.
So you get all those little things that if you don't know about them, you can give away a poster that is worth, $500 for $20. And it's the same way with comics. If you don't know that, in this issue, Bugs Bunny shows up. Wow, okay, now that puts up the value. And the thing with the that I love about the posters is I love the art from the 70s and early 80s. It wasn't all this stuff with, like what I just showed you with, photos. This is like, you can print this on your computer.
Sure.
But when you get something like this, you see that in the theater, you say, oh, that looks cool. I'll go see that movie. And then you come out of this saying, why did I go see that cheesy movie? But you see it because of the artwork. But even when you take something like that, you could take even something like this, a Philip Marlowe one. See, you go see that, you say, oh, that looks cool. I'll go check that out. But see, the difference between that and this, to me, there's no comparison. I'll take this any day of the week, compared to this. And it's the same way with the collectors. They'd rather have this style than that style because it was more true to the art of the movie. It made you want to go see the movie. Now everything is it's a bunch of hype and you just, I'm going to go see the new Chuck Norris film. I'm going to go see the new Halloween film, and you're just there. But before you used to have those in the lobbies of the theater or outside. And when you walk past, you said, oh, that looks cool. Can we go see that? And that was it.
Now, is there, again, I was asking Paul, is there a website or somewhere you would go to get this information, do your research? Obviously you know it because, you're into that collecting it, but.
It's very tough. They don't really do any more price guide books.
Okay.
Only because the prices change so quick on this stuff.
Okay.
It's quicker than what a comic. It's more like along the lines of a baseball card. If the guy is hitting good, the price goes up. If he starts hitting lousy, it goes down. And they can put out a guide in January and even by the time that guide comes out,
guide's released, right?
It's already, everything's already
not fully right.
On a lot of the prices.
Gotcha.
And I've always stood by the fast rule of remember how much you paid for it. If you paid $5 for this, the rule of business is you're only supposed to double your money. So that means you put it out for 10. If you can put it out for 50 and someone gives you 50, hey, more power to you. But if you get 10, don't say, oh, I lost money. How did you lose money? You got back your 5 and you made a profit. And sometimes people, when they go by a guide, they forget the simple rule. It's a guide. It's not the actual price. Because like Paul says, and like we all say, you go to places like eBay. How much are they selling that item for? Not where it's already listed. Go to the sold section. See what people got for it. Oh, what did they get? Oh, they got $12. Well, you got 10. So you didn't lose. You're right in the ballpark. And
how quickly it's selling, the sell-through rate as well.
But that's it,
Right.
And sometimes
if you have to sit on it for a year, and you're only going to get double your money, and $5 to $10.
Yeah,
you got to pay fees, and
But that's it, and you got to turn around and you got to say, is it worth? It's the same thing like doing a show. Now pay $400 for a table. If you have to rent a van, if you have to stay at a hotel, all that costs into what you're putting into the product. So now you got to put out, that little bit more. And like Lance Shark says, it's not worth anything until somebody gives you the money for it.
Exactly.
Gary, I have a question for you. I'm sorry.
Yep.
But I don't think I've ever asked you this, or never asked it to anybody because we know people that deal in posters. Comics, we know in the 90s they were printing millions of comics. How do you know, or is there an estimate of how many posters they print for a movie?
No. That's the tough part with posters. You never know. And like, I'll give you the classic example. When Star Wars first came out, they started a Star Wars fan club.
Yep.
And if you joined that for $20 a year, you would get the newsletter and they would tell you all different things. And they thought it would be nice to sell the posters, which were original from the factory. They said, we made a deal with them and blah, 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 and this and that. So you can get a poster for $20. Imagine a full-size Hildebrandt one with Luke with the, lightsaber up, and you're like, I'm getting that for $20. Awesome. You get it, and then you find out a few years later that, oh no, it was a guy that was working there overtime at night, printing them on his own and selling it to the fan club and collecting all the money. And how you can tell is like on one of them where Princess Leia's holding the blaster on her shoulder, there's like a line which they say is a hair. And that's how you can tell on that one. On the other one, it's on Luke's belt. And then on another one, it's on R2-D2's leg. So that's how you know that those are the fakes. Or they might leave something out, which is like the printer's stamp mark, which is called a Gaiu or something, how you ever pronounce it. But it's like a weird little crest thing. It's very tiny. It's usually at the bottom of the poster. But that was omitted. So, but now where a Star Wars poster can command near mint, you're looking at like $3,000. Well, most people aren't going to pay $3,000.
Right.
But if I say, well, I have one of these reprints that came from the Star Wars fan club, $500 at yours, I'll take it. So now those became accepted only because of that. But on the most times, if it's a fake, it just gets, people just toss it, and that's it. But for the longest, and that was the other reason also why they started doing double-sided, because double-sided is a lot harder to print than single. So you would get like that Halloween poster that I showed you that's double-sided. Yeah. Well, a guy can't go in there and print this because it's going to cost him a fortune.
Right.
So that poster is going to retain its value. Whereas if it was single-sided, it'll lose it. And sometimes you can tell because if they're not making it on the right paper, you can tell by the feel of it. And sometimes it's the words might look a little faded or they leave something off. They'll always do something that just, once you start doing this for a long time, you can tell.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. Like a new seller wouldn't be able to tell that unless
but if he goes to somebody that's reliable, like if he went to Paul and said, "Hey, Paul, what about these comics? Can you come take a look?" And Paul would go walking down to that deal and say, "Oh no, you can get it from that other dealer, for $25 less. Don't pay his price, and that's it.
Not that I would do that, but
see me, I've always, I get dealers mad at me because I'll do that. Someone will come over. I'm looking for this. I don't have it, but I know that Paul has it. So I'll say, well, go see that guy down over there. His name is Paul. He should still have it. And you're at the table next to me. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, why? He wasn't going to spend money with me anyway.
Right.
So,
well, you guys are friends too, so you reciprocate.
No, even if I'm not friends with the dealer.
Okay.
Because I'll go like Paul will. If we set up early at the show, you walk around and see what
Sure, you look to see what they have. Sure. Yeah,
and then, like I said, now someone comes over and says, "Hey, I'm looking for this." Well, I ain't got it, but I know Paul has it. Go buy it from him. Okay. I'm like, it ain't gonna hurt me.
You're unusual, Jerry.
I know that.
Well, I don't mean in a negative way. I mean in a good way.
But there's enough of the pie.
I'm not saying no. I agree 100%.
It's the same thing like being here on, when I do the Facebook auctions or I see some of them. And like we were talking earlier, and I said, they're like, this is a $30 comic, and I'll look it up on eBay.
Yeah, I wanted to address that. It's just there's all like, people that are veterans here, but to the newer sellers, if
yeah,
they pop
the newer sellers, you gotta, if you're gonna do that, open up 2 pages. The one that you're watching the auction on and eBay.
And eBay, right.
And then just
look at sold, it's just not listed.
Look at the sold and say
exactly.
How quickly it's selling, the sell-through rate.
He's asking $50 for, oh, look at, there's people on there.
And it's selling for $8 on eBay.
Yeah. So you just got to do your homework, like Paul says. You just got to be out there.
Due diligence, as Paul says.
Yeah. You got
he's a real estate, so he uses legal terms.
Yeah. Well, we always have to do our due diligence, but we have to do it on everything. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I'm a dealer, yes, but I'm also a collector. I mean, I've been collecting my whole life, and that's probably why I became a dealer and opened up a comic shop and all this stuff. But, you know, it's not everything I get is like resale. I'm still, even when I buy wholesale lots and stuff, I'm still checking like crazy. All right, they want, for this pallet of wholesale goods, they want $1,200. But looking at the manifest, I can't figure it. I'm only making back my money if I'm lucky. So I don't see these people that buy pallet lots, not to get off the collectibles topic, but you got to think of that on everything, you know. And sometimes with comics and toys, you got to speculate. I hate it. But I mean, I've been into estate sales where I am not ready to pull out my phone and type because there's no barcode or whatever. I'm not going to type in 50 comic titles because I don't know what these are off the top of my head just to see what the value is. So I'll grab the whole lot. If they want, say, $50, I'll say, listen, I'm interested in all of them. Can we work a deal? You know, so I'll negotiate the best I feel comfortable speculating. So if I can get it at 30, I'm okay. If I'm only making my money back or I lost a couple, I'm better at 30 than I was at 50 anyway.
Mile High, I've dealt with them. They're in the class of a lot of the people that have been around like us forever.
Yeah.
So
aren't they the ones that are across from John's booth at San Diego?
San Diego, yeah, usually did. But no, remember they stopped going to San Diego now because it got too expensive.
Right. That's right.
But I put them in the class for comics like I do cinema masterpieces for movie posters. They'll put out this comic and they'll say, we have this, and it's $400. Where everybody else is lucky to get 250. And it's the same way that Cinema Masterpieces will put this out and say it's a $200 poster where everybody else is getting 100. And I've said, it's fine if they're getting it, God bless them. If someone's going to go there and give them that kind of money and not do their homework and check around, see if
there's due diligence, Jerry.
Then hey, that's their loss and Mile High's gain. But and it, just like we said, you got to do your homework. You just can't walk in and say, "Oh, that's what it is." No, let me check and make sure. Because why am I going to throw away money? Because sometimes, like with comics, for what you're paying for the one comic, you can get 2, maybe even 3, and say, "Oh, now I'm that much closer to finishing my collection," instead of paying all that money.
Now, Fishing and Pickin says so Mile High Comics sets their price based on their rep. That's not always the case. Mile High's been around forever. I mean, they were around when I had my store back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But it could be they price their stuff based on their demand. If they have a lot of people looking for it and they keep pricing this book at $20 and it keeps flying off the shelf, well, the next time they get it in, they're going to do 25. If it's still flying off the shelf, the next time they're going to do 30. So it could be based on
whatever
their
the market,
demand.
the market.
Sure. Yeah, because over there,
and for that, maybe to get a little more of a premium than other resellers do.
Right. Well, it's like I told Paul when I was up north doing shows. I had one 6-foot table that was nothing but wrestling figures. And I had a couple of people that would come all the way up from New York just to buy the figures from me, because I had a lot of the female figures that are hard to get and a lot of the hard to get 2-packs and everything. And so they would come and they would drop, a couple of $100 per person, and I would clean them out. I come down here to Florida and nobody cares. I could put them out for $5 a piece and they just look at them like, you got anything else? So it all depends on where you are. That could also set your price.
Yeah. Because
over here, this is selling great. Over there, blah. Go over here, it's so-so. So it's very tough to figure out. And that's why, once again, like Paul says, you got to do your homework. You got to pay attention to what you're doing. You just can't get caught up in that spur of the moment like we were yesterday with the bidding, that you get caught up in that bidding. And because I've heard people say, that why is it that they'll put up, one Spider-Man comic, like that $7.97, and that guy's getting $300 for it, where there's another guy that ends like 2 hours later and he's only getting $40 for it.
Right.
And the only thing I can see is that it's people get caught up in that bidding and they forget that, hey, because they see that message from eBay, hey, you've been outbid, go bid again. So
you get caught up the adrenaline. Yep.
Yeah, and they just keep bidding.
FOMO, fear of missing out.
Let me go see if there's somebody cheaper.
It's the auction premise. Like, I'm bidding $5 on this brown box. Right. Great. What's in the brown box? I don't know. I'm just bidding $5 on it. Well, the next person
I'm losing.
What are we bidding on? We're bidding on this brown box. What's in it? I don't know, but it's up to 10. All right, make it 11.
Right.
What's in it? I don't know. But it's the auction. And before you know it, it's $25. And the winning person says, "What did I win?" You won a brown box because it's empty.
A brown box.
Paul, what's in the box? What's in the box?
All right, that's a good transition. Let's roll in the toys. We'll do 10, 15 minutes on toys to try to keep this around an hour. But really good information, guys. Again, if you have questions in the chat, please bring them up. And if you're watching the replay, you can put them in the comment section below, and we'll get to your questions as quickly as possible. So when we roll in the toy, guys, and we'll leave you all three of us on the screen. Paul, you said they asked you about what's a peg warmer.
Oh, when they have cases of figures. Let me grab a case of a figure.
Oops. You own it now.
Wanted one, another one hit me. So let's say we get a case of, this is a full case of Marvel Legends.
Okay.
All right. Right from the factory. And there's all your figures inside.
Gotcha.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 figures inside of this case. And the hot one is the one that's only one per case. So it's the She-Hulk. This is the one that everybody wants.
Never even heard of She-Hulk. Okay.
Really?
How long has She-Hulk been out?
Oh, since the 80s.
The 80s?
Wow. Yeah, she got a
Okay.
transfusion from the Hulk and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, okay.
They changed the story in the 90s.
I don't remember that. Okay.
This one, there's 2 per case. There's Mr. Fantastic.
Right.
So nobody wants Mr. Fantastic. They
And there's
want
2 in the case.
She-Hulk. So every time you go to a store, I mean, there's only a few Toys R Us, you're going to find a lot of Mr. Fantastic on the pegs. That's considered the peg warmer because they just don't sell, because everybody wanted, out of that 8-piece case, they wanted that one figure, which was the She-Hulk. And just about everything, Hot Wheels, there's the one hard one in the case.
The treasure.
It's like that with
The treasure hunt, right? Yeah.
all the toys. That's the way they do it. And it's unfortunate, but now Hasbro is starting to do case lots of the hard figure. And I don't know if it's just to the specialty retailers, but I've never gone into a Target or a Walmart and seen a whole peg full of She-Hulk or the figure that's one per case. And when you see it on eBay, people they'll do those at $20 because the retail price is $20. Something a little hotter like the Thing, they'll do $25. She-Hulk will be $30. And that's the way they'll do it. You charge less and you charge more for the one there's only one per case because that's the one that everybody
That
wants.
makes sense, sure. Now, what about okay? So that's when that's a figurine, correct? And you say, what's the difference between a figurine and a statue? Is the size?
Could be the size. They make them all in different sizes. You can have.
What is the difference? I mean, I don't understand what the difference between a figurine and a statue is. Does the statue have a base on it that's like on the statue?
Sometimes they do.
Usually, like this is a figure. This is a statue.
Okay.
Of the Hulk.
It has a base. Okay.
Has a base.
Okay.
But it's not posable, but it's made similar to an action figure.
Okay.
Because it's vinyl.
And you got a figurine.
Yep.
So sometimes they're a little bit
more light, Jerry. Jerry, you need more light.
There we go, more light. But then you'll get, and sometimes they're, might just like the arms move, maybe the legs, and that's about it.
Okay.
But and you'll get these in different sizes. You can get them in this size.
Okay.
So they'll do it. They'll do whatever they can. And sometimes they just run these things to death. They'll do like 15 different versions of this figure. So you're like, oh my Lord, am I going to get them all? Or am I not going to get them all? It all depends on what you like.
Right. And a statue could just be a bust also.
Yep. Could be a bust.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just a mini bust.
And again, this is all something like you would say you got to do due diligence or your research because there's no rhyme or reason other than if like a movie's coming out, like you said with Silver Surfer, that's going to be a hot item.
Yep.
But there's no rhyme or reason.
It'll only be hot for that short period.
Right. And if you got to strike while the iron's hot, and if you don't sell it, then it's going to drop back down to where it was.
Yep.
Right.
Well,
maybe even lower because there's so many sold that went during that period. Maybe there's less of a demand after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when the last Fantastic Four movie came out, when the movie was in production, the comics were going crazy.
Right.
The movie came out and it tanked. And so did the values, and so did the people looking for comics. They didn't want them anymore. They thought it was going to be big. It was going to be like, really hot. They would do another one and another one. That was the third attempt of a Fantastic Four movie. This is going to be the fourth attempt to do a Fantastic Four movie. So they're doing the same thing with X-Men. They're going to do a new X-Men movie, but they're doing the same thing from what they said. They're going to release a character or two in a Marvel movie, and then they'll bring them all together as the X-Men.
Okay.
Which is good because you're going to build up anticipation like that. Sure. Which will be nice. So if Beast is who's one of the X-Men, if he's going to be in one of the upcoming movies, then like the first appearance of Beast or comics that he's related into will be hot.
Okay, that's interesting.
Hope we're not boring the audience.
Well, I was going to maybe touch a little bit more on toys and just touch slightly on the trading cards and the sports cards, collectibles, because we had talked about that before. You were saying you have to go back to typically the 80s or before with the trading cards.
Because you can get trading cards back in the 80s and all that. You'll get a set like this in a box. So there's no work, no muss, no fuss. But they'll put out 20,000 of these. So everybody and their brother has it. Whereas you'll get something like.
Now, Scream, is that a movie? What I never.
No, it's all about the different girls that star in horror films.
Oh, okay.
And then you'll get these. Now, this is the set for Godzilla. These you had to buy packs for to build up the set.
Okay.
So now this is harder to get. It's worth more money because it's a harder set to build. Because between that and then you get the prism cards and all. So it's more of a harder thing to put together than this set. So between the two, this one is worth more than this one, because this one, a lot of shops will have this sitting around. Whereas this, if you go in looking for it, they're like, we don't have that. And you keep hearing that. We don't have
So
it.
it's highly collectible and there's a limited amount of production.
Yeah. So the older you get, the more limited it becomes for two reasons. One, because back then they never thought of these things as being collectibles. They wanted you just to buy, just to play with it. And that's what you did. And because of playing with it, that made less of them out there. Because you'd put the cards in your bike spokes and ruin it and throw it away.
They're not collectible anymore.
Yeah. So, but now they just put out 4 million of them, and that's what you got out there. It's 4 million of them. You might have like 1 million get thrown away, but
I'm sure everybody remembers these.
Bazooka gum?
no, the wacky packs.
I remember the wacky packs. I'm a little bit older than you, not a lot older, a year or two.
You don't remember the wacky
No,
packs?
no.
Oh,
not
man. These were like original. This is from 05. The originals were like in the late 60s.
Well, that would have been my wheelhouse, but I don't remember them.
Yeah, but what you would do is because you stuck them all over your lockers, your books, whatever, they were now gone. So it made those more valuable than that set.
And then there's the horror cards.
Yep.
That's cool.
These
You'll
are
die laughing.
Yep. These are original. I don't know if you can see the year. 1980. This is probably the third set. The first one was from earlier, way earlier. But they did cards on, non-sports cards on just about almost every subject, every movie.
Yeah, like these, see? Everybody.
Now, where they were, see, I just had the little local, candy stores. I didn't really have Did you have to go to a? Oh, okay.
See? But then you had.
What was like? I had a brain freeze. What's the name of that show where the vampires on TV?
Dark Shadows.
Dark Shadows. Thank you. I was trying to think of that the other day. I was on a brain freeze.
4:00 every afternoon.
Yeah, I used to watch that. Or my mother, I think, used to watch General Hospital at 3, and I used to watch Dark Shadows at 4.
See, like this set now is back up. It dropped for the longest time. It used to be like $500 for the set, but then people lost interest, and it dropped down to you able to get sets for like $75. But now they've jumped back up to $400 for the complete set.
Now, there's just a limited amount of the producers of these cards. I mean, I'm sure a lot of these places have gone out of business over the years, right? I mean, Topps and those kind of companies, or and what's Fleer?
No, that was put out by Topps.
That was put out by Topps. Okay, so Topps, Fleer were the two big sporting cards.
And Donruss.
Donruss, yes, Donruss. Yep.
There was Topps, Donruss, and then Fleer came into the picture.
Okay, and they did a lot of the other collectibles, movies and things.
Yep. You would get them. Sometimes they would put stickers in the sets.
See, I had no idea. That's why I'm glad I have you guys on. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, well, because like I said, that's what was my first love, was doing the non-sport cards.
Right. Okay.
So, like I said,
Paul's working on something here. I don't know what he's doing. He's looking for something.
Jerry pulled out the big guns, so I wanted.
Oh, okay. You're gonna play your big gun. You're gonna
mine, and I can't seem to locate. I have my.
The Jerry, you have your jaw posted there, or did you have that put away?
No, put away.
You got to put away.
Yeah.
One of my pride and joys is my Batman set from '66.
Which one though? The orange back, the puzzle back,
the red back.
Well, the orange back, the one with the cartoon drawings in the front.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I still have a couple of the packages too, like the because I saved the wrapper, which hardly anybody does. Not that it adds value to the set, but
it does.
Yeah.
Yep. People now want, if you can sell them the set with the wrapper, they want it.
Oh,
you need this set, Paul.
Yeah. Yes.
You got quite a collection there, Jerry.
I thinned it
I know
out.
Paul has all kind of different things. You have like a lot of the cards in the
Well, like I said, I'm a collector.
right.
I like my stuff, and I like the stuff from that reminds me of when I was younger.
Sure.
And then, like when Paul said, you got the wrappers, which would be, let me see. Here we go. Like you got these.
Okay.
Planet of the Apes, Star Trek, Kung Fu, Full
Look
Moon.
at that. Wow, that's cool.
I
I don't remember any of these playing cards, by the way. I just remember the sporting ones.
Partridge Family.
Partridge Family.
And then these are some test wrappers that I got from the companies.
Okay.
And then these are 2 unopened packs. So you got Screen Queens 2 and Max Headroom.
Max Headroom. Wow.
But like I said, this is what happens when you deal in all this stuff. You get a lot of it all
Well,
the
you network,
time.
I guess, and you get opportunities when people come to you know that you're a collector.
Yeah, because they'll say, "Oh, well, he'll buy it because he collects all this stuff."
Right.
So you end up getting people that will just come over and say, "Here, I got this box of toys. Take them."
Take them.
Like, okay. And you open up. I had a friend of mine do that with a whole bunch of Star Wars from the 80s. He said he wanted a price on them. I priced them all out. And then I said, okay, you're all set, Frank. And he's like, okay, so are you. And I said, what do you mean? He says, keep them. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want to buy them. And he says, no, keep them. I'm like, okay. Because some of these people, they don't want to deal with this stuff. It's nice, but they're like, I had it. I had it long enough. And like, that's the way I feel with a lot of the posters that I have. They're all mine. But like the Jaws one, I've had it since 75.
Well, that's something I guess eventually you're going to sell that when it's worth several $1,000s. And then.
Well, if it goes, it goes. If not, it goes to my little guy.
Sure.
He ends up with it. If
Right.
not, it'll get sold. But the nice thing about being in this, especially Paul can tell you, in the 80s and all that, doing the shows, you got to meet so many of the people involved in this stuff, whether it was the actors, the producers, the people from Tops or whatever. And you got to, say, hey, I got to be with so-and-so.
Right.
You don't brag about it, but you say, oh, yeah, I was with so-and-so, like the guy that plays Jason, Kane Hodder. If you watch the Friday the 13th movie.
Right.
I've known him now for 30 years.
Okay.
So whenever I see him at a show, you'll be standing in line to get an autograph. I just walk around and I go sit behind the table with him. And it's like, yeah, no.
Just hang out, right? Yeah.
People will look and say, what? And he says, oh, that's okay. He's with me. He's family, and that's it. So
Right.
you feel a little bit special because you got to make those bonds. But nowadays you can't do it as much because it's not because of the social distancing. It's
Right.
because
Prior to that, right.
they don't want to have you, they don't want to have you close and it's just you say hi and bye and you go through an assembly line.
Right.
Whereas before you got to actually talk to them. You got to chit chat with them and everything and say, hey, how's this? How's that? And they're like, oh yeah, this is cool. And that, and you felt better about when you got to meet them than compared to nowadays when you see them, they're like, hi. And you're like, oh, that was thrilling. He really sounded like he was happy to meet me.
Yeah.
It's like, hi. And you're like, yeah, I understand you might be a little bit tired, but, I've got my 5-year-old kid that idolizes you. Be a little more enthusiastic there.
Right.
Like I say, like when my son, because he loves Batman, when he went to go meet Adam West was on the stage and we were walking by and I said, oh, look, there's Adam West. And he looked at it and then he turned away. And I'm like, really? You're going to do that to a little kid?
Oh, really?
And it's like, so now you felt this way. Now you're, nope, that's it. Forget him. And it's like, you don't do, I can see you want to snub me, but the kid?
Yeah.
Come on. You don't.
You can't just say smile and say hi.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's right. The difference between now.
Yeah. Hi, little man. That's what you got to smile. That's what you got to do, right? What's the big deal?
But Paul can tell you because I've done a lot of his conventions and the people were all friendly.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, but if he did one right now, they'd all be like, "Hi." You know, and you're going to be like, "This is thrilling." You know, I really enjoy this.
Now, what about the sporting cards? I mean, we touched about collectible cards that you got, you know, from the sporting card companies. What about like the football cards, the baseball cards, the hockey cards? Does it vary? Does it depend on the year? Does it depend on the player? Does it depend on the type of card, a collectible card, as opposed to just a run-of-the-mill card?
They look for that player that did something stupendous, that got traded for megabucks. I don't follow sports cards. I don't follow sports.
Right.
But I hear people talk about.
You're from the Boston area? You don't follow sports?
No.
I follow it a little bit. What I didn't like about it was that I would go to a show and the cards that I had priced at, say, 10 cents a piece are now a nickel or they're a quart. And I'm like,
well, that's the thing. I thought they were all, lowering value. And now everybody says, oh, well, you're still looking. There's some that are valuable. And it's like, well, I thought they were.
No, there are. You got to go, of course, you go by the names. Like if you say Jerry Rice, Pete Rose, Kyle Yastrzemski, you go, of course, with the popular names of Wilt Chamberlain.
Rookie cards, I'm assuming, on, better
cards,
players.
Yeah. Like if you get a Tom Brady rookie card, even though.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, that's money. It doesn't matter. It's a money card, But when you start saying like, Derek Jeter or something, you're like, okay, that's it's hit and miss. And, and when you start going down.
So just a run-of-the-mill everyday player, just an average player, it's probably not even worth your time. But sometimes you got to buy a big, huge box, maybe for a nickel card to see if you.
Right.
But they might be picked through, too.
Card, they're like $4 or $5 a pack now.
Yep.
Player cards are $4 to $5 a pack?
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't bought a pack of sports cards, but I see them in the stores, and they're like $4 or $5 a pack.
No kidding. How many cards are in a pack? There's no gum.
Target is $9.99 for a pack of sports cards.
And how many cards are in a pack?
Something like 20 cards.
Okay, well, 20.
Oh,
okay.
It must be the gum that's making the price go up.
No, there's no gum. You don't even get the gum.
You don't even get the gum anymore.
No. But their big thing that they do now with the cards is you get a relic card. You might get a chase card. You might get an autograph card. Maybe.
Yep.
Maybe.
And you're like hit and miss. You're better off getting something like this. You get this, and it says you'll get an exclusive card. So when I opened it up, where is it? Here it is. See? And then that's your exclusive card. So that's the one you're going to make your money on.
Oh, that's like you were saying. That might pay for the whole box.
Yeah, it'll pay for the whole box and then some. It might give you a little bit of profit.
Right.
So then when you sell off these, then you make back your money and then some, and you're like, okay, it's not too bad. But to say that you got to go and spend that kind of money, it's sometimes you just say it's just not worth it anymore. Because all the person is going to come to your table for, they're just going to look for this one card. They don't care about the other ones. They want this. And that's it.
And so then they probably try to beat you up on the price on that card. Because yeah.
So then you end up eating the rest of that card, the cards, and you're trying to get rid of it for the next 5 years.
Exactly. Right.
So
I guess again, the big picture. I'm talking. I'm moving my hands around. I'm showing myself the big picture. You want to kind of sort of stay away from playing cards, players cards, unless you find like rookie cards and those type of things. And again, I guess it's condition is key also, right? Condition
is always key on any of these collectibles.
Yep.
Sure.
That's your main thing. If it's something that you really, really, really got to have, you're not going to care what it is as long as you say that you have it.
Right.
Like you said.
Well, I mean, like if you were a Yankees fan or a Red Sox fan or a Phillies fan or whatever, and you can get like you said, a Pete Rose or a Mike Schmidt or a Tom Brady or
you're going to be happy that you have
Magic Johnson.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like this. It's a 2.0, but I'm like, but it's in my collection.
Right.
Out of they're at I think 875 issues right now. So hey, I've got an early one, number 24, so I'm happy. I've got almost all of them. I need 30 more and I'm done.
Okay.
But you say, hey, I got it. It's in the collection. It's not the greatest shape. If somewhere down the road I can upgrade, then you upgrade. But if not, you just say, I have one.
Right.
And to me, I've always said too, like I said, if I sell the Jaws poster, I've had it since 75. That's 45 years ago. I've had it for 45 years. Let someone else enjoy it now. I had it.
If you get your price, sure.
Yeah. Even if sometimes if you don't get your price, you just got to say there's a time to let go.
True.
Because you can't take it with you. And if your kids don't want it, what's going to happen with it? They're just going to
go where it doesn't want to go, and it's not going to be appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah. They're just going to say, this is junk, and they toss it.
Exactly.
As
opposed to a collector, somebody that would appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So at least if someone gets it and you say, I enjoyed it for a while, now it's their turn.
True.
I'm like, that's fine. To me, anything in my collection that's 10 years old or older, I'm like, I've had it long enough. Wonder why I didn't get rid of the wife. No.
All right. Well, Paul, I'm going to go to you, and I'll go to you, Jerry, and then we'll, just if you have any last minute comments, and then I want you guys to mention your, your YouTube auctions, your Facebook, you're doing your Facebook auctions, those type of things.
Well, let's do this, Adam. Do you ever do giveaways?
Sure.
I have some promo cards. If you want to do 2 giveaways, I have some Star Wars promo cards. So these are promos. So the only way to get these where you had to have a store. This one, I was selling on eBay for $15 a piece.
Wow.
So if you want to come up for a way to do a giveaway, there's a Batman one in here.
Well, that's your call. Would you like to do it to the people that are currently in the chat? Do you want me to do a comment and leave a comment and do a random comment picker after the fact, or whatever you prefer?
Well, if the people that are in here were in here all the time.
All right, let's do that. Let's do the people that are currently here. Okay. We have 15 people in the chat, it looks like. Do you want to do a trivia question? Do you want to do a pick a number?
That's all up to you, man.
Okay. Let's do pick a number. I'm going to write down a number, and let's see. I don't want to go crazy with this. I'm going to try to make it kind of easy, because I know some people say, between 1 and 300, and we're here for 40 minutes.
Right.
I'm going to make this easy. I'm going to do between 1 and 50. I'm going to write down a number, and please don't comment until I type in the chat, and then pick your number. And I know I need 1 number per person. Okay, we have 15 people, so it shouldn't take us. Actually, we have 16 now, so it shouldn't take us too long. So let me put the number in. Okay, got the number down. I'm gonna put in the.
Join in, Lisa.
No, you can join in, Lisa. Absolutely.
Yeah, Lisa.
Just do me a favor, watch the replay. I need the watch hours.
Yeah, don't we all?
Okay, I'm gonna type in start, and you guys can start guessing. And it's the closest. You can go over who's ever the closest. Okay, so I wrote down my number, and we can start now. It'll probably be a little bit delay on stream there, but once you see start, you can start putting your numbers in. Okay, so we have like 15, 16 people in here. At least please pick a number. Okay, so far we have 4 numbers, and we have 15 people in the chat.
Wow.
Keep guessing, guys. I mean, if you pick the number, that's great. All right, Lisa's in there. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so far. We should have another 8 to 10 people in the chat. So I'm going to give it about another minute and a half, guys, because I know there's a lag, and I would like to at least have 10 of you in there. Make it fair. So far, we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Audience participation.
Working and lurking. All right, Donna.
Yeah, put a number.
That's flipping frozen.
Yep.
Donna W. Stealth people, they're lurking, right? All right, so we'll give it about another minute, guys, and then we'll pick that. Why don't we just fill up that 1 minute time, Paul? Once you, I know your things are kind of like in flux as far as your auctions, but I do have your YouTube channel in the description below. I'm going to put Jerry's in later.
Okay.
Jerry, you said it's under your regular Facebook page, correct?
Yeah, just under Jerry Mendoza.
Okay.
Yeah, mine is just Paul Antonelli. My YouTube channel, my Facebook is Paul Antonelli. I did do the auction channel where everybody can post their auctions in there. So it's meant to open it up because of the influx of all the online auctions. I just figured I'd do that. Then I have Reselling You, another Facebook channel. But right now, my show's at 4. And I know it's in a little state of disarray right now with everything going on. But I will have everything firmed up soon. Thank you very much, Lisa. I do try to bring a lot of different things to the auction. Lately, I've been bringing in a lot of reseller lots. So I don't know how many people. I've been told that most of our people that look at the auctions are resellers, not just collectors. So I'm sure if people do flea markets, swap meets, whatever they're called, I try to bring in some items that they could have on their table and double or triple their money.
Hey, so like I said, it's kind of up in the air as far as when you're going to schedule these auctions. Probably a couple times a week, though, I would think.
I want to do at least 2 times a week.
Okay.
Right now, Friday, for the last 2 Fridays, I have my buddy John from Federation Comics.
Okay.
I'm trying to break him out of his shell and get into this. So I've been doing it with him Friday afternoons. I'm working on one with John, Derek, and Jerry to do a long, big kind of toy collectible marathon one. And if that works, I'd like to do that maybe once a month because there's a lot of collectors. There's a lot of closet collectors also.
Sure.
People say, I mean, I had somebody once a long time ago says, well, I don't know how you collect these comics and stuff. I don't collect anything. And then you go over his house and he's got this enormous jar full of matchbooks. And right. I said, what's this? He's, well, I collect. I says, there, stop right there. You collect something. Don't say you don't collect anything. You collect matchbooks.
Okay. I'm going to give it about 10 seconds, guys, and I'm going to type in the chat stop. So make sure you get all your numbers in, and then I'll type stop, and then I'll show you the number that I picked, and again, it's the closest. You don't have to be under. You can go over. Who's over the closest will win. And then I'll just have you guys send your information to my email, which is basically Adams Exploits without the apostrophe. So it's ADAMS Exploits EXPLOITS. AdamsExploits@gmail.com. So you can just send me your shipping information, your name, and shipping information, your YouTube name, and then we'll get that out to you from Paul right away. So I'm going to say stop. I'm going to type it in the chat, and anybody that picked the number before that, we will be good. Who would want those cool cards? Exactly, Lisa.
Yeah. Like I said, you had to have a store to get them originally because the stores, well, plus I used to do shows, like Jerry said. I used to put on collector shows, and Topps would just give me a case of cards to promote their product.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you my number. I was writing down the person. I might as well show you the number first. And you can read my jibber jabberish. Let's see here.
Wake up.
I'm the only one on the screen, though. Okay, there you go.
I don't know if you can see this.
47?
47, exactly.
Cool. Yep.
Okay.
That would be
Sintown Funnest Product.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. You're new to the channel. I hope you like what you see here, Sintown, and you consider subscribing. And I have a lot of great interviews with other resellers here. Let me open it up to the 3 of us. Okay. And let me go to Jerry.
I'm Jerry.
When are you're Jerry? And you said it's under your Jerry Mendoza, right?
Yep.
You can't. Do you have I'll type it in the chat. What are you doing your auctions on Facebook?
We're not going to do anything right now because my parents are in the midst of moving.
Okay.
And we're house hunting right now. So I have enough on my plate, but I figure probably in June, we're going to start up again. And we'll probably end up doing at least one every week.
Okay. So I'll put your Facebook page in the description below. Unfortunately, it's taken almost a whole day for the videos to upload on YouTube with everything that's going on these days.
That's okay.
But I'll put your information in the chat. Okay, so let me bring everybody back together here. Okay, and again, we had the winner was Sintown Funds Products. Again, let me type that.
He's in the Bahamas, but it's no problem. I'll get it there, no problem.
Oh, is it the Bahamas? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to put them Sintown. I'm just going to put them in an envelope.
Yeah, you probably send it out first class, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let me. You want him to email to you, Paul, or you want him to email me, and I'll forward it to you?
Either way.
Well, once you have it's info, right?
Yeah, I got it.
You want to type it in there? Okay, so just send your information, your name, your screen name, and your shipping address to Paul, and I'll ship it out directly to you.
They wouldn't let me, Adam.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me know why. Where are you?
Yeah, if you want Sintown, Lisa's volunteering to personally deliver them for you if you want to pay for them.
All right, I made you moderator so you can type in the chat.
All right.
So just send your YouTube name, your real name, your shipping address to Paul's info at Paul Antonelli. Type it in yet?
Yep. And I will get it out. I'll get it out in tomorrow.
There it is. Okay, so send that information to Paul and I'll get it out to you tomorrow. We'll get it in the mail tomorrow. You won't get it tomorrow in the Bahamas. But all right, guys. Were any last minute questions? We'll wrap things up. I know we're a little longer than normal, but a great opportunity to have these two guys on, and I appreciate them taking their time to spend with us and
no problem.
Educate us. I know
people always when I'm doing the shows and stuff, people only if she's 5'3", blue eyes. I don't know. People are asking for sourcing, ways to source and stuff. And if you're going to look for toys and comics and stuff, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist.
I'd like to ask about that. Do you guys run any ads in Facebook Marketplace? Or you just source in there?
I have a couple of things for sale in Marketplace, have not done well with it.
I mean, do you run an ad? I'm looking for yada, yada, yada. Or no?
I should. I have one made. I have not done one. One.
I've looked at it, but I find a lot of the stuff there is just overpriced.
Okay, but so you don't run an ad for sourcing. You don't say, I'm looking for, movie posters, yada, yada, yada. You don't
no, because if I do, then a lot of times, because the people don't know that what they have isn't a real movie poster. Okay. So I'll end when we first moved down here, we looked at that, and there were a few places that were near us that they said they had posters. And I'm like, and we'd say, are these the real movie ones? They're like, yeah, they are. And I traveled the hour to go there to find out that they're fake stuff that you buy at Walmart. And I'm like, these aren't real movie posters.
Okay.
They're like, oh, they're not. I'm like, no, they're not. They're fakes. And they're like, oh. And then it's like, okay, now so after a few times of that, I'm like, no, they have no clue. And so for me, it's not worth it. For Paul, for comics and that, it might be, worth it.
Right.
But for me, it was just
hopefully maybe late fall we'll start up the yard sales and garage sales again. I don't see anything happening this summer, at least in my area. Right. I'm in New Jersey, so estate sales, yeah.
They
one person or two people at a time, I guess.
Some of them just
wearing masks.
But the majority of them are still selling online only.
Online only. Okay, then you do a pickup.
And you go to estatesales.net.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. But see, a lot of people don't know about that. And you type in your zip code for where you are.
And you can set a parameter, 20 miles, 25 miles, 50 miles, whatever it is. Yep. Okay, guys, I want to thank Paul and Jerry for joining us. And I'll do the typical YouTube close. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And if you're not new to my channel, please watch my videos. Give me a thumbs up before you leave. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. And remember that YouTube occasionally unsubscribes people if you don't watch the material, the videos on a regular basis. And if you can, share it on your social media. I would appreciate it. All right, guys. We'll be back next Wednesday. And thank you all for being here. Take care now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.